Stottlemyre ready again with a 3-2 pitch. Drill to center field. Bo Jackson going over, leaps and can't get it. It goes all the way to the fence. Deion Sanders blazing around second. Tabler goes over to get the ball, plays it in there, waving him home. The throw to the plate gets on by. Sanders flies over, and now he is safe at home. There's a pile of bodies at the plate. Here comes John Wathen out to argue.
That was Deion Sanders, and that is an inside the park home run. Probably the most exciting play in baseball, and also probably the most difficult call for a play-by-play announcer. Welcome to this week's edition of Crafting the Call. My name is Josh Suchon.
And I'm Jesse Goldberg-Strassler, and today we're going to think outside the box on calling an inside the park home run, which, Josh, you said when you are looking and listening to broadcasters, this is a call that you feel it's a good way to evaluate how does a broadcaster call a game.
I think that I can probably tell more about a broadcaster from his description or her description of an inside the park home run than anything else. I can tell their energy level. I can tell how much they care about detail. I can tell how focused they were when the play began or whether they were talking about something else, which happens throughout the course of a broadcast. But most of all, I can just tell how they think and the decisions that they make on the fly when something happens that rarely happens, Jesse, but when it does, your mind better quickly turn to describing this call correctly.
I think that there are principles that we can establish that work for every single play, but especially for an inside the park home run. And that's why I'm excited to get into it with you. When chaos develops on the field, when the fans are going nuts, the dugouts are going nuts, and we understand the fielders feel that urgency that they have to get to that ball and get it in. And you've got a guy flying around the bases. How do you keep your cool and put it into words that are clear?
I think I've called approximately 10 inside the park home runs, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's about one a year. Last year, I actually had 4, and that's what really made me start to think about the mechanics of it, compare and contrast them when my audio levels are about the same, my voice level is about the same. And I really started to think, Jesse, about how the fastest inside the park home run last year was 14.7 seconds. The slowest was just under 18. So what do you want to say? How many words can you say? But how many words should you say between approximately 14 and 18 seconds?
I think it begins with you have to follow the ball as the call starts. So if you are able, be in front of the pitch, and now that ball is off the bat and where is it going? And that is the moment that turns whatever a normal sort of mundane play would be, maybe even a normal extra base hit, which is exciting in its own right, to the chance for a batter to circle the bases. And that's where you have to find that way to switch your attention between the location of the ball and where is the runner on the bases.
So we're going to listen and watch, analyze a wide variety of play-by-play calls. We're going to have some that are very straightforward and fundamental. We're going to have some where it is very dramatic and over the top. There's some that are radio. There's some that are TV. There's some that are sort of like this hybrid that we do in minor league baseball where you have both a radio audience and a TV audience. And I think that there's subtle differences as a result of that. But then there's also just these differences because, that's different styles. And some styles we might like more than others. And some styles we might say, thank goodness I never do that at all.
We're artists, right? This is called painting a picture. Well, some of us use pointillism, some of us realism, some of us it's very impressionistic, and some are going to just go cubist. So we'll work through it together with those brushstrokes of language.
All right, so let's dive into some of these calls, Jesse. And the first one that we're going to do is a Major League Baseball call that has a lot, and I do mean a lot of enthusiasm.
The 2-2 on the way to Dan Wilson, and a swing and a high fly ball belted deep to left center field, and get out the ride, Brett. No, it comes down at the bottom of the wall. Wilson to third base. Get out the right, Brett, of the Buster grab ball. It's going to be an inside the park home run. Wilson slides across safely by. Oh, my. First of all, I thought it was going to be out. And now, for the first time in history, the Mariners have an inside the park grand slam home run.
So that is the incomparable Dave Niehaus with the Seattle Mariners. What did you think of that call? What comes to mind immediately, Jesse?
When broadcasters are asked, do you have a home run call? It is seen as a good thing. Everybody who asks us, who generally is not a broadcaster, I'm going to say the vast majority of them, it's something that they want to hear. It's something that they tie to the broadcaster. And Dave Niehaus not only had a home run call, not only had catchphrases, he had his grand slam catchphrase. And so he loaded it up and he's ready. And that ball's not out. But it's still going to be a home run because it's an inside the Parker. So you've got your bread, you've got your, right? You're loading up the salami sandwich for grandma, and now you're ready to serve it. So I think that the first thing that jumps out to anybody who listens to the call is Dave Niehaus is going to deliver it. Wait, it's still in the ballpark. Now here it comes. And so I think if you're a Mariner fan, I think you feel every second of it. Before we get into the broadcast analysis, you think it's going to be a grand slam. It's still in the ballpark. Now it's a grand slam. So I think you are ultra forgiving of Dave, particularly Josh, as he gives the context historically for where that grand slam is for the Mariners. I think that is such a remarkable recovery from Dave to call it, to miss it, to call it again, and to say, now here's the context.
Absolutely. When I first heard that call, that was my first thought was, I'm glad I don't have a dedicated home run call for every single home run because of that, because you can get caught. I admire his dedication to getting in his catchphrase for a grand slam there at the end. And especially because it's the first one in Mariners history, you truly understand the passion of Dave, just his energy comes through there. But to me, I'm going to use that as an example of why I don't want to say the same thing for every single home run, because you can really get caught.
I'm going to go even beyond the catchphrase. I think a broadcaster assumes that something is going to happen. And whatever you assume, you get yourself immediately into trouble. Even if you think it's going to be a home run, you need to punctuate it when the ball is actually gone. I got myself into trouble some years back. Bases were loaded, sinking line drive. I was already calling the RBI single, but the outfielder made the catch. And even though it might look to my eyes like he trapped it, the umpire is calling a catch, and I've got to be on that call. So it's such a great cautionary tale of do not get ahead of the actual play. Call the reality and go from there.
All right, let's get into another one, which doesn't have the historical significance and is much more of a fundamental inside the park home run call.
And the 0-2. Loop to left field. That could be trouble. Coming on a span. He can't make the play. And it gets by him. And it rolls down the left field line. Off to the races is Gardner. He's rounding third. They're waving him home. Here's the throw. Here's the play at the plate. And inside the park home run. Brett Gardner. It's 4-2 Twins.
I think that's about as straightforward, clean, clear, inside the park home run. It's not a walk-off. And one of my favorite parts about that is when Michael Kay, the Yankee, says, Gardner's off to the races. A quick, simple phrase that really lets you know something very unique could happen here.
I want to focus on Michael's energy because, and I could have touched on this with Dave too, that moment that the ball gets past the outfielder and it's up the line. You realize, just like everybody else in the ballpark realizes, there could be something special here. So his energy has to jump. Well, now it's going to take another jump because we've got to play at the plate. So you jump when the ball gets past the outfielder. You jump when you've got the play at the plate. And then you need to punch that it's an inside the park home run. And so you need to understand your own limitations with your voice and your own capabilities and give yourself the ceiling throughout that call so that you do not peak, so that you're not bumping your head up against the ceiling when the ball is heading into the left field corner, or when Gardner's rounding third, or now you've got to play at the plate. You need to keep on giving yourself room to rise, with I think that takes a great deal of self-awareness on the part of, in this case, Michael Kay, or generally the broadcaster.
Context of the game as well. Even though inside the park home runs are rare and they're super exciting, if the score is 1-0, I think in that case the Yankees were still trailing. I think it was 2-1 or 4-2, something like that. The score matters in terms of that level of excitement as well. And so you want to save something for when it is a game winner, but you also want to capture the unusualness of the inside the park home run.
This is going to sound weird, but I want you to picture the dial, the pot, but for emotions. So excitement, you've got to pot that up. Joy, though, how much joy is it that you have compared to the excitement and the thrill of it? Dave Niehaus, it was just utter elation, right? It was happiness the entire time. For Michael Kay during that, I would say the emotion was excitement. It was the thrill of the play, whereas Dave was just having the time of his life throwing a party. With Michael Kay, you could feel the excitement of, this is rising. We've got to play inside the park home run. And so I think that makes it a very different call, albeit I enjoy the two of them for those purposes. And I think it's up to us to figure out what is the emotion that you inject in, that you pot up the most.
Speaking of emotion and drama and getting Jesse's volume level up to just about the very peak, let's go to a walk-off inside the park home run. We're going to hear two of them back to back by the same announcer when there's about a 20 to 30 year difference in his voice, in the TV technology, and the audio quality. And I think it's really fascinating, Jesse, to compare and contrast as we watch these next two inside the park home runs.
Pagan hits one high and deep to right. Kadire back. It is off the bottom of the wall, and it kicks away from everybody. Pagan is being waved in. Here's the throw to the plate. It is not in time, and that is the ball game.
Line drive, fair ball. Mitchell can't get it. 9 runs with a score. They are waving Dernier. He's the winning run. We got to play, and he's safe. Game's over.
Two calls, same announcer, two different endings because one, his employer wins, the other, his employer loses. And what a difference in the voice of Duane Kuiper, the legendary Giants announcer, between early 90s there and just a couple of years ago. What are some of the biggest things that you notice about those calls, Jesse?
As he's gotten older, he hangs on to his words. And so because of that, he makes his words matter. In young Duane Kuiper, there's only one word that he hangs on to the entire time, and it's play. We got to play, and you feel that word hang out there in the air as we want to see what happens. Every other word is short. No other word is punched. And because of that, it's the atmosphere of the crowd that fills in the sound. Well, more modern Duane Kuiper, 20 to 30 years later, you listen to the words that he hangs on to, like kicks away from everybody, and you feel that everybody lengthen. That changes the feel. That heightens the excitement. It doesn't fight the crowd. So it's fascinating to me to see how he's used the way that he tastes his words to change the feel of a call. How about you?
I think that with most inside the park home run calls, there is some flukiness that happens. And that's when I think it's really important that you tell the audience that. It kicks away from everybody is perfect, or it takes a weird bounce, or the outfielder dives, he missed. It's by him. It's going all the way to the wall. There's a moment with inside the park home run calls that signify that this could happen. So I love the way that he said it kicks away from everybody. And then also at the end, I don't have the exact words, but I like how that is the ball game, right? And where he just it's like if you were typing it up, it would be a one-word sentence, and how the drama of that adds to it. And oh, by the way, that also slows your voice down and allows you to not get out of breath when you do it that way.
Well, you're not fighting the crowd. You're going right with the crowd. You're crowd surfing with your broadcast. And that is a lesson learned by an experienced broadcaster who now understands the moment and understands how to give the headline to the moment. If you picture a newspaper with the big splash photo and now your caption under, he is providing the caption to that amazing picture. I think back to it though, when you say it kicks away from everybody, and it doesn't relate necessarily here because this is a TV call, but a trap that a broadcaster can get into and that I fall into: excess detail. We so want to paint the picture and paint it with specifics. It kicks away in a shallow center. And now I'm going to describe this player, or there's words, there's detail that I'm going to put in there that in my mind, I'm helping paint the picture more, but you don't need it. You can go with fewer words and it still stands, and it represents all that the person needs to see in their imagination, or all that they need to see cresting over the moment.
In my mind, I know there's been a lot of former players who have become play-by-play announcers. In my mind, Dwayne is the best. And I don't want to make it seem like, oh, he's good for a former player. He is the best at truly understanding the TV medium and less is more, how to be efficient with his words. I learn so much every time that I watch a Giants broadcast. Number one, because Kuiper and Kruko's chemistry is just the best of the best. But then Dwayne just really understands the economy of words. And I would love to talk to Dwayne one day about like a call like that. Is he watching the play with his eyes? I'm pointing to my monitor because I'm at the ballpark right now. Or is he looking at the monitor? Because it just seems like his words always seem to match the picture so eloquently.
Which I think that's the point. If you're an optimal television broadcaster, that you are working with the picture, that it is a broadcast partner as or more important than the partner who's right there next to you in my crew co. So for you to do that, for you to supplement what everybody is saying, but you should not say what is obvious, what everyone can already see. You have to somehow add to it. That is our task, is what can you do to add to the game? Because otherwise, what is the need for the broadcaster at all? That's why networks have experimented with broadcasterless broadcasts or players-only broadcasts, where the players that they're using are not play-by-play people. So what you've got to do is you've got to say, I am adding to this, not keeping it the same, or worse, subtracting from it.
Okay, so we've heard 3 major league calls that were strictly TV. We're now going to hear some calls from minor league baseball where it's this hybrid, where you have to paint the picture for the radio audience, but you also know that the games are going to live as well on MILB TV. It's now called Bally Sports. They're going to end up on social media and everywhere else. And we're going to go to a call by Russ Langer of the Las Vegas Aviators.
Plan is tomorrow. That's usually the case before bullpen day.
There's a drive high and deep toward right center. Racing back is Fletcher on the dead run. And this one is off the wall. Takes a crazy bounce towards straightaway right. Over to third is Capel. Capel is being waved in. Here he comes. Here comes the throw. Capel is safe, and that is an inside the park home run.
Once again, that is Russ Langer on the call, Las Vegas Aviators. And
so you can hear there, yeah, there's the audio description of takes that crazy bounce towards center, right? Now we know where it is. We know where Capel is on the bases. We know that he's safe at the plate. So you've got those details thrown in, but there's no excess talking.
I also like how he kind of punctuated something twice, where he mentioned the third base coach. They're going to send him, and then he says, here he comes. And so they're going to send him. Here he comes. 7 words that perfectly, efficiently really lets you realize, here we go. We got a chance at this inside the park home run. And I think it was just a great, efficient use of words by Russ there.
I want to go to rounding third, heading for home, brown-eyed handsome man. Because they're going to send him, lets you know where Connor Capel is on the bases. He hasn't arrived at third yet. So Russ's eyes are on the third base coach, and he's approaching third. So you as the listener, you as the audience, you are with Capel, and you see the decision has been made. And now here he comes. You know exactly where he is. He has just touched third base. And it makes me think of a horse race where it's down the stretch they come. Here he comes. You can see him. He is just approaching the home stretch. And here we go. Is there going to be a play? It is such a beautiful setting the stage for a potential play at the plate.
Okay, let's move on to another one. And this one is from AA Wichita. This is Tim Grubbs, who was on the call. And this would be a extremely dramatic inside the park home run.
2 balls and 2 strikes now to the batter, and the 2-2 pitch is going to be a fly ball into left center field on the run. That ball's going to drop, and it's going to get by L.J. Scott. Windsurge are going to tie the ball game. Isola on his way to third base. They're going to send him. They're going to send him inside the park home run to win it. Is he safe? He is. Unbelievable. L.J. Scott dove for it. It got by him, and the Windsurge win it on an inside the park home run from your catcher, Alex Isola. 13-12, first walk-off of the year for the Windsurge.
Tim Grubbs, you son of a gun. What a call, man. And you and I, we're going to get into this.
Let's get into it.
I think, Josh, that this is a ridiculously difficult call to pull off, because I'm going to connect this to Dave Niehaus right from the very start. Tim realizes as he's gone through, okay, we're going to tie the game. Wait, this could be a game-winning inside the park home run. He realizes this while the play is still in motion. And so he has jumped to this. He's ready to call the inside the park home run. But we got to play at the plate, and the play is close. And now he calls it. He's right there for the umpire's call, and he launches into it. His unbelievable is fantastic. There are 3 or 4 or 5 ways for this call to go terribly wrong, and it never does. My guy sticks the landing.
Extremely gutsy decision to kind of preview inside the park winner. I love a couple of things to go back to the beginning of it. Number one, it gets down, it gets by the outfielder. Okay, we've established that. He establishes the game has now been tied. So now it's all about this race home and this relay throw home. I love that Tim took the chance with this. And I think that this would be an example where when you're a national broadcaster, maybe you don't take that chance. But when it's your home team that you're broadcasting for, even if you get burned by it, even if he's out, I still think the emotion in your voice will carry what happened, what almost happened. So yes, gutsy, a lot can go wrong. As it turned out, it did not go wrong. And then to tell us at the end, the catcher with the inside the park home run. Now you and I, who don't know anything about this player, oh my goodness, this is even more dramatic.
Presence of mind for the context. But I want to go back to something that you focus on because it's so important. What does the broadcaster say as the runner is approaching and rounding third? And Tim not only says they're going to send him, but he repeats it. And we started this off by saying, if you've got 14 to 18 seconds, it's a catcher. It's probably not going to be 14. But if you've got only that period of time to fit in your words, and you want your words clear and concise and to match the moment, to repeat the phrase, to build that up, it works.
Sometimes repeating yourself is bad. If the phrase is brief and it's a moment like that, then I think repeating yourself adds to the drama of it all.
Yes. I would think that if this was a moment, let's say, to win a championship or an enormously important game in the history of the Wichita Wind Surge, this would go down in history, right? This is a tremendous call for the occasion.
All right, Jesse, ready to hear one of yours?
No, but let's go.
I agree with you. Outside of fly ball right center field and hit well. Malgeri tracks it back, way out there in the alleyway, can't make the catch, runs into the wall, it gets past him. Denzel Clark flies around to third base, here comes the windmill, he's gonna try for another, and he's gonna score without a throw. 2 straight games with an inside the park home run, and they still haven't stopped him flying through the dugout. 4-1 Lugnuts.
All right, Jesse, I like your call of this one a lot. Let's first start off with someone is in the booth who is not a broadcaster. We get these moments. We might have a guest. Sometimes it's a corporate sponsor. I am very fortunate here at the Albuquerque Isotopes. I have made a deal with our marketing department and our sales staff. And I say that when we have a corporate guest, they join me when the Isotopes are in the field, so that when the Isotopes score runs, when something exciting happens, basically the call is not ruined, right? But sometimes these things are out of your control. I don't know who this gentleman was. I'm glad that he immediately paused so that you could get into the call. And I applaud you, because sometimes we have this rhythm, Jesse, where you say, here's the 2-1 pitch, and now you're ready for it. But when someone is in the booth and maybe you're making eye contact with them and they're talking about something, and then here's the crack of the bat and he pauses, and now you immediately have to snap into it.
Quick anecdote for you. My very first inning of play-by-play I ever received, I was an intern in the Southern League calling Montgomery Biscuits games, interning for Jim Tocco. And so he hands me the play-by-play and I get a guest. So it's me and a guest, and the very first batter homers. And that's how I learned that the guest had a home run call.
Oh my God. Was it a good home run call?
I plead the fifth. So that was my introduction to minor league baseball affiliated play-by-play. In this case, it's Chris Brown, and he's part of a great crew of folks who cover the Detroit minor leagues. So he's there. The Tigers prospects are in town with the Whitecaps playing, and he dropped by the Whitecaps broadcast crew. He drops by me the day before Denzel Clark had an inside the park home run. And here he comes again, and here's back-to-back for him. And that ball, once you hit it off the wall in deepest right center in Lansing, Michigan, there's real estate.
Knowing your home ballpark, or whatever the ballpark, especially if it's a road ballpark, and understanding those caroms, which makes baseball so unique, these different caroms and these different bounces that might happen. So we're going to get to one now that I did, where it also features a very unique element to Isotopes Park. Now, it no longer exists, but prior to the 2023 season, we had a hill in center field. Yes, we had a hill. It was modeled after the hill that used to be at the Astros home ballpark. This one was pretty darn steep, and there was also some angles to it. There was a variety of different names that it was called over the years. There was a player by the name of Jamie Hoffman. He made a great catch at the top of the hill to rob a home run. Some people called it Hoffman's Hill. Some people called it Tope's Slope because of that. What I learned pretty early in my career with the Isotopes is that if it's between pitches and I'm just casually filling time, then I can say Hoffman's Hill or I can say Tope's Slope. But in the middle of a play-by-play call, when things are happening really fast, I don't want to say those things because they're a little bit of a tongue twister. Tope's Slope, that's a lot to kind of get out. Hoffman's Hill, people may not immediately know what Hoffman's Hill is, but still, there's a hill. It's in center field. And every time, especially a visiting outfielder goes up the hill, I'm starting to think, is he going to fall down? If he falls down, is he going to be hurt? And what is going to happen on this play? And so we will hear my call here from 2018 when Derek Gibson was the batter.
The 1-0. And that one's hit high in the air to center field. Going back is Coleman on the warning track, climbing the hill, spinning at the hill, jumping at the hill, misses. The ball rolls down the hill. Gibson on his way to third. Gibson's going to be waved around home. They're going for the inside the park. Here's the throw. He is safe at home. Derek Gibson, inside the park, home run. And the Isotopes.
Okay, a couple of things about that. Number one, after that inside the park home run by Derek Gibson, I have never said the phrase inside the park home run during the call, because again, it's just so many words, right? If he does hit an inside the park home run, I'm going to say it once he's safe. So for me to say they're going for the inside the park home run, he's safe, it's an inside the park home run, not an efficient use of words. That's something that I've learned that I no longer do, that I used to try to do. The other thing, if I were to critique myself, is he's going up the hill, he's spinning at the hill, he's jumping at the hill, the ball rolls down the hill. I don't need to say the hill 5 times. I can say he's going up the hill, jumps, spins, can't get it, the ball's rolling back. There's a lot of different ways that I can be efficient instead of saying the hill 4 times in the span of about 9 seconds. That home run call, while I'm not ashamed of it, I think that I probably learned more about play-by-play craft on those calls from that home run as much as any other call of my broadcasting career.
I appreciate that you stuck the landing, though, because you said safe at the exact moment that the crowd crescendoed. And I think it's so important to finish a call with the crowd. You did so. I want to go back to the changing of attention. If I gave you the camera, and the broadcaster has the camera to give the picture in the mind of everybody listening in, how long do you stick with the fielder to the point that you cut to the shot of the runner? Well, in this case, that ball is in the air a long time. And now we've got the outfielder going all the way up, and we've got them jumping at the wall, and now we've got them missing. And now where is the ball? And now we pick up the runner, which is why in so many of these calls, chances are we pick up that runner as they're approaching third. So we go from following the path of a ball to suddenly going, oh my goodness, he's 110 feet away from an inside the parker.
I don't know about you, Jesse, but normally when I'm calling a play, I'm watching the field with my own eyes. If it's a ground ball, I stay focused on the field. If it's a fly ball, especially a deep fly ball to the gaps, then I turn my attention to the monitor so that I can get a better view of it based on what the camera is zooming in to show me. Now, I don't recall that last clip because it was 5 years ago, but what I probably did was I saw the ball in the air. I then probably switched to the monitor. And then once I saw that the outfielder did not catch it, the ball was rolling down the hill, I then probably tried to pick up, okay, where is the base runner? And like you said, most times he's already around at second. He's somewhere between second and third. And then your eyes are kind of doing this crazy thing where you're looking at the ball, the outfielder, the runner, the third base coach, you're trying to like pick this up. And I know that sometimes when, at least for me, when I pick up the runner and I pick up the third base coach, if the first throw from the outfielder to the infielder gets bobbled or it's overthrown, that I might miss that because you can only watch so many things. And so I know that I try to go outfielder, base runner, third base coach, confirm that he's going to either stop at third or go through third. And then where's the ball? Where's the relay throw? Where's the catcher? Like, that's basically how my mind works in terms of what I'm trying to see and then hopefully describe without being completely out of breath.
Well, here's the challenge for us. Let's say we're calling it off the monitor, which I don't blame us for doing. We are trying to apply the caption of the picture that everybody is seeing. So why wouldn't we? Doesn't that make sense? But the problem is that does limit us to seeing what everybody watching is seeing. This is why whenever there's action, the ball's in play, and especially when I've got the double call, I've got simulcast TV and radio, I will call the action on the field. I will call it as I see it. And maybe it doesn't line up, and I will take full responsibility if it goes poorly. But I want to see the whole field. I want to see, is there a play at the plate? What's happening with this runner over here? What's going on in the outfield? I want to see if something goes wrong. I want to see if the runner blows a tire, and now they've fallen down halfway between the bases. And then I hope to catch up afterward when I look at the instant replay, and maybe that can show me something I didn't see. But I like to call off the monitor for a pitch. And then the second that ball is put into play, I like to watch it right on the field itself.
There's something that I do sometimes, and I'm curious what you'll do as well, because let's say there's a play at the plate, whether it's an inside the park home run, whether it's just a single that someone's trying to score, you want your timing to be perfect where they're going to send him, here's the throw. And sometimes you say that, and now there's still a second or two, right? And so you have to make a choice as a play-by-play announcer. You can either say, here's the throw, he is. Sometimes what I try to do now, here's the throw, head first slide, or feet first slide, or one hopper, or it's on the fly. And those quick little words can add a little bit more detail without being too much detail. And then it also just kind of makes sure that I'm not stringing this word along way too long, because you can kind of get out of breath if you're saying again, here's the throw, he is, and now you don't have the oxygen in your lungs to punctuate that safe or out call, which you really want to nail with lots of oxygen in your lungs.
It's a great question, because I am a he is person, but I don't feel like I elongate it that much. What I want to make sure that I'm doing is saying out or safe at the exact same time that the umpire does. Or if the ball escapes, safe, because I know it, the ball has gotten right through the catcher, and I can even say, here's the play at the plate, the throw, right through the catcher, say whatever it is, I want to be on that moment. So this, to my mind, is related to when we call a home run. The ball off the bat, okay, we got that. It's going out to left field, we got that. We know what we're going to say when the ball disappears over the fence. But how do you get the ball between being over the infield and being over the outfield wall? If you would ask Dwayne Kuiper, I think he would say elongate the word, because as we heard with him, he stretches out those words. He uses as few words as possible. And I don't think the answer is to try to jam a bunch of words in there. But I like what you're getting at, which is if you can find a detail, use that one detail. For me, that one detail would be the name. So if I can name the player that the cutoff throw is coming from, if I can name the catcher, or if I name the runner, just using a name in this spot instead of he is. If I name the runner, if I say Clark is, or if I say Muncie's throw, whatever it is, I got that name involved. That is a tiny little detail that elevates that call up.
I think that knowing yourself becomes really important when deciding whether to elongate that word or add another detail. If I had Dwayne Kuiper's pipes, then I would probably do it his way. So we can look at all these different broadcasters, and that helps us give us ideas. But ultimately, you need to be really honest with yourself, what you can and can't do with your voice. Because I think that I agree elongating a word, but I can't do that too much.
No.
It's just not in me. And so you have to know the difference between yourself and others.
Yeah, Tim Grubbs, it's not about elongating. His voice got gravelly and rough and raw in the moment. And I would say it fitted perfectly. I also think, as a specific detail to focus on, understand your fans. If you are making a call for a team, what do your fans care about? What does your team care about? And is it the catcher and the relay? Or is it that runner and how they're going to do? But I do think, and this is something that I encourage broadcasters to do, if you practice, if you think about the words, but you also understand yourself, you have to lean into your own strength, and you have to find your own strength so that in that highlight call, you are throwing 99 miles an hour instead of finishing off at 87.
All right, so we're going to wrap up this episode here in a moment or two, but I think that I loved just, I mean, even just going through to find these. There's hundreds of different calls that Jesse and I both found from minor league broadcasters, major league broadcasters, on YouTube, everywhere else. And it's really fun to look at all of the different possibilities for what you can do and what some choose to do when some is dramatic that wins a game, when some is early in a game. And so I just think it's just really fun and educational to really sink our teeth into what are the possibilities for a call like this.
I come back to my word is chaos. we have to figure out the words for chaos. And an inside the park home run is brought on by chaos. Something has gone weird with the ball put up in the air. Took a weird bounce off the wall, missed a diving outfielder, whatever it is, and now chaos is ensuing. And how do you find those words over the course of those 14 to 18 seconds and punctuate it in the end?
All right, Jesse, I agree. And this was a lot of fun. That's why I'm enjoying this so much, because we are craftsmen and this is what we do. And this is the call, and breaking down the minute details is how we get better. No matter how many years we've been doing this and how many games of experience we've had, you never know what's going to happen on the field. And it's all about making sure that you're mentally ready before it happens, and then that you can immediately make the adjustments so that you can capture the call the way that you want it to live on forever.
It's Yogi Berra, right? Expect the unexpected and vice versa. So I'm glad that you and I will be breaking things down play by play and talking about what a broadcaster might want to keep in mind over the course of calling some unusual plays, and also you and I listening to great broadcasters and appreciating the art that they create.
Once again, he's Jesse. I'm Josh. This is Crafting the Call. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you again next time.